Hello and welcome to another edition of the RotorHub International podcast, and that's hosted by me, Gideon Ewers. I am the editor of RotorHub International. One of the key elements in the vertical lift, the parapublic space, is, of course, law enforcement. And with me today, we're talking about law enforcement and the use of helicopters and UAVs as platforms within the law enforcement matrix. And key to that is always going to be good comms. And with me today to help fathom that out are Colin Waite and Paul Petit-How from ECS, who have the vision and the data linking expertise and knowledge to guide us through that particular minefield. Guys, thanks very much for spending the time this morning.
Good morning, Gideon. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today, and we look forward to hopefully running through this with you and giving you a bit of background on what we're achieving here at ECS.
Brilliant. Colin, I'm not being rude, but I mean, you've been around the police aviation block for a while, and over the years, you've seen some developments and the way the platform's changed and evolved as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely, Gideon. Yeah, I've been involved with police aviation probably since the early 90s. In the early days when they were using squirrels and triple twos in the Met Police at the time. So yeah, we've seen an awful lot of change from onboard equipment, data requirements, aircraft requirements over the past sort of 20 odd years. So it's been some massive changes from then till today, definitely.
Yeah, and as part of that, let's talk a little bit about what the mission looked like, say, in that point in time in the early 90s, and compare it with what the mission in 2026 looks like.
Yeah, of course. The aircraft back then were considerably less capable with the equipment they had on them today. These guys were back in the early 90s using binoculars rather than very expensive thermal imaging cameras that they have the ability to use today. So the mission itself has changed quite dramatically. If you look at it, they were operating lower level at the time to be able to view these things, whereas now 1,000 to 1,500 feet realistically is a good altitude to operate the aircraft at and have the capability of the camera to be able to do everything they need to do. So it's massively changed over the last 20 years, without a doubt.
I mean, certainly, and I suppose as those capabilities have evolved, so it's almost like a chicken and egg situation, really, isn't it? Where you know capabilities expand and then need expands and then capabilities expand. That driving the expectation because after all, in the final analysis, it's all about helping the coppers on the ground collar the baddies, and their expectations of what the equipment can do have evolved too. And how's it being driven? Was it from above or below, for want of a better phrase?
It's quite interesting. If you look at the aircraft capability over the years, probably a lot of it from above, because you look at the aircraft type. In the early 90s, they were using the twin squirrel. The capability has ramped up quite massively. When you start looking at the EC-135, EC-145, or H-135-145. So it's just allowed them to put more equipment on board these aircraft and greater capability. Cameras, tactical radio, comms, data links, which we're going to be speaking to you today as well. All of those give the functionality of the aircraft a better capability for the user on the ground to not only help them with their task, but to give the guys the capability on the ground to be able to do the job that they need to do, and that's advanced massively with mobile communications, with mobile data link communications, and video on the ground to be able to see what the guys in the aircraft are looking at.
Yeah, and I think that's the essence, isn't it? It's that idea of that information supply. But all of that, it's great, but it's great having all that data up there. But it is, as you just said, all about getting the data that's up there in front of the people down there on the ground, seeing what's the people above are seeing. So that's all we're getting into the whole constraints of data. Getting that data and having that ability to communicate the information, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we'll get Paul to take you through the connect piece now, because what that actually do is gives you the option to take all of that data off the aircraft across multiple bearers seamlessly, and give the guys on the ground the capability they require.
So yeah, I mean, as we were talking earlier, to use the tomorrow's world analogy for those old enough, it's been a problem until now. That is, Paul. Just start to walk us through how the system is going to solve that particular issue.
Yeah, thanks, Gideon. Yeah, thanks, Colin. In terms of like just sort of framing the context around what the ECS Connect is, it's good to sort of outline some of those important changes that Colin has been alluding to, how it has developed over time. So we recognize that there are perhaps more threats than ever, whether that's for law enforcement or indeed for defense, but also that data is more prevalent, so that takes the burden on to the individual, the operators, and there is ever more need for that constant, uninterrupted, robust links that data links, whatever the technology can try and solve and provide in all various different contested environments all over the world, and for the multiple complex operations that they do. So we recognize that these needs, whether it's threats or data, and the evolution of sensors and systems to try and improve those has just proliferated, and especially with new capability like UAS and how that comes into the fold, teaming with massive air platforms, and how you're going to have that manned and unmanned teaming. So yeah, the need for data, the need for managing it, and having good, robust communications is ever more important. So other than simply providing the RF data links that we do provide, we recognize that there is a need to have other multi-bearers to help try and provide more robust and to help solve different communications problems that you might solve in contested environments, whether that's with other technologies like cellular or mesh or MANET or indeed satellite communication. Having a sort of multi-bearer reduces your redundancy and allows you to be able to do and achieve those different mission types with the single sort of air platform that you've got today. So ECS Connect sits above that and enables the sort of management and seamless management in terms of it being automatic and intelligent, as a capability to manage those multi-bearers, make sure that the data is going down the various different transmission bearers, and is doing it in a way that takes the burden off the operator, so they don't need to worry, and the data, and more importantly the video, for example, doesn't degrade and can continue to stay seamless and uninterrupted as possible, and that's what the ECS Connect seeks to achieve.
I suppose that's kind of especially important, that continuity of feed, especially I suppose in thinking in the parapublic space rather than the security or border security space, where that video may be required for evidence at some point, and that continuity of feed, not just in the actual tactical application, but later on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of really, really important to have no sort of degradation of the data that you have, because it can, it's certainly important whilst you're doing the mission, but also, post, it's important to analyze for whatever requirements you may have to help improve missions, or indeed for evidence purposes, as you suggested. So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's those sort of things when you think about it, but just one of the other things I thought about when you were talking just then was reducing the burden on the operator, because I'm no TFO by any means, but there's an awful lot going on. There's monitoring two or three different radio frequencies. There's the operation of the aircraft as a partner to the flight crew. Uh, all of those elements, and so bringing that's one thing you don't have to think about element, I suppose, is the other
Exactly.
intangible advantage, or actually quite
Yeah.
tangible advantage, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. It reduces that cognitive load, as you're saying, upon them, so they can just focus and just be on mission and doing what they need to do, and not have to worry about that level of connectivity and their communications, which are incredibly important, but are being managed through this ECS Connect and the multi-bearers that they have on the aircraft.
So just, forgive me for being, a thicky scribbler pilot person, but so how is it presented on the aircraft? The system's doing its thing. When the operator, whether that's TFO, pilot, whatever, whoever is working with the system, they're just seeing it as an option they select on their screen, or as a soft button, or it's just the magic is happening behind the curtain somewhere. Colin.
Yeah, correct. So I can talk a little bit more about the capability itself. So as I said, it's sort of multi-bearer. So whatever some of those bearers that I previously said it could manage. Yes.
Colin, you had some thoughts.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say, Gideon, is we envisage it on the aircraft as actually being all completely seamless. It will have a controller unit very similar to the co-FDM downlink type stuff today, where you can turn it on and off. But actually, we see the rest of the data throughput and how it all sort of manages itself is a back screen, perhaps on a PC of some sort. So there's no real interaction with the user on the aircraft at all. And all of that piece will just become seamless completely, so they can get on and manage the task in hand, if you like, with all the other bits and pieces they're trying to do on the aircraft at that time.
Sure. Sure. So it's all about that thing of, just getting on with the mission and managing the mission, not operating the equipment effectively, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly that. Take as much of the burden away from these guys as possible. They've got enough to do as it is.
Paul, you touched on when you were talking just now, the coming wave, right? Which is the pairing of platforms, manned and unmanned systems, to achieve a goal. Let's talk a little bit more about how that tooling will work. I mean, we always said it's already happening in the background, but for operators on the man platform, whether that's in a search mode or because as someone said to me once, the thing about searching is either you're searching for someone who's desperate, who's lost and is desperate to be found, or you're searching for someone who isn't lost and doesn't want to be found. But it's still fundamentally the same equation, isn't it? So the how do you use that platform? Let's use say in that sense where it's in a search mode, working with an unmanned system. Again, is it just coming back to that point of you don't know it's happening, it's just happening. The magic is appearing on your screen, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, this system, to put it into context, wouldn't necessarily manage the sort of teaming between the unmanned and the manned system, but it would manage that connectivity, so those links, and to make sure that there is a good stream and it's consistently aggregated across, so that there's no sort of interruption. And if there is sort of a degradation in one particular bearer, then the other bearer can manage that load and make sure that there's a good level of connectivity. But it's certainly really important and a future capability to see how data can be used across the unmanned and the manned space, and to make sure that there's robust comms so that they can do various different missions like the search and rescue or others, to find that you can start to use other platforms like UASs to do alongside the manned. And that's where ECS Connect can certainly provide a really good intelligent and automatic capability to help manage the bearers and make sure that those communications stay, uninterrupted, and intelligently flexible to manage those, increasing data and teaming commands and demands that they'll face. Absolutely.
Let's talk about the big bugbear though. I mean, let's talk about, especially again zeroing in on the police sector. There's a lot of pressure on police forces and units to control costs, and it is we touched on the UAV thing. You're seeing increased use of UAVs in police work. But it is that whole thing again as well. It's about delivering the. I guess the answer to that cost line is effectiveness. Delivering the effectiveness and that cost benefit message. Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say to that is the nice thing about the Connect system again itself, it has the capability of selecting the bearer it wants to use at any one time. That can not only be done in relation to data rates available to you across the links, but actually you can select it for cost benefits. If you're in an area where your LTE, your 3G, 4G, 5G connection is greater than anything else, absolutely you can select it across that. If you've gone into a position where you're losing all of that, you're out of range of your line of sight co-FDM systems, you have the ability to switch across to SATCOM. The important parts of all of that is they all have different costs for usage, and the ability to be able to select that, manage that internally within the Connect system seamlessly again is going to be completely beneficial to the end user.
Yeah, and ultimately that's driving the thing, deriving the benefit at an improved cost line, I guess. There we have it. I mean, the sands of time, as always, are our enemy, and there's much to glean out of this because knowledge, as they say, is power, and transmission of knowledge is data. So, guys, thanks for sharing your insight this morning. Much appreciated. Colin, all those years of experience, brilliant. Paul, all that knowledge of the clever stuff. Thanks, guys, for your time.
Gideon, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to catching up with you soon, as always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gideon.
That has been another edition of the RotorHub International podcast. Join us again next time when we'll be once again exploring everything vertical lift. Until then, fly safe, keep the blue side up.